Aren't you tired? Don't you wish this election campaign was over? I know that I do, and yes, I am. It shows the putrid realities without magnification. This said, I will not keep silent. Those who hate this commentary, please let me know why. Don't waste your time if you just want to insult me. Before we go further, let's clear up what a race baiter does. I have heard this phrase overly used and butchered. Race baiting is the act of using racially derisive language, actions, or other forms of communication in order to anger, or intimidate, or coerce a person or group of people. This I will not do. The media appears to successfully whip up tensions and emotions within America. This poisons the ground for meaningful exchange. One thing I have always disliked was how some non-whites would claim whites do not know what it is like to be a black person, etc., yet themselves proclaim to be an authority on the white psyche, if there is such a thing. This I do not claim. When I see subnormality or slimy ideas and actions worthy of contempt, I call it out. Simple as that. We are humans first and foremost. Yet this world keeps ramming skin difference, historical atrocities, and contrived cultural differences down our throats. If you want it to be that way, have it your way. Doesn't mean that I have to bow to it, but have it your way. Here's a hint for you far-right folk, exuberant conservative participants on Fox News, and the loyal watchers, and would-be Republicans who salivate for a theocracy. Phony baloney grievances designed to degrade America also comes from your camp. You need to take personal responsibility for your behavior. While you're at it, chew on this. We are not content to beg for favors. This current paradigm sickness is grossly offensive to common decency. I, and those of like mind, rather empower each other. It would be kind if the upper crust was brought back down to earth. The Republican versus Democrat song and dance is folly. You die-hard old schoolers, forget this is partly about America's submission and the overt destruction of the illusion of constitutional sovereignty. The Southern strategy is the contemporary Republican Party's bread and butter. Of course, they have to keep the machine pressing forward. This is no excuse for their followers to willfully ignore the state of our world. The game is rigged. It does not matter what front puppets are being offered for you to elect at this particular CEO exchange or presidential election. The CEO of this corporate plantation will ultimately serve the interests of the power brokers. You do not care? You like your make-believe? Okay, let's press on. The Southern strategy welcomes those that grieve the loss of the Southern-flavored Jim Crow days. The Democrats are no better. The Democratic political relations is a fake platform for supposed minorities and the common man interest. You have become an instrument which promotes white victimology and grievance. That's what the Republican Party has become. Now, we have a world where individual oppression is not honored, partly due to your dream world of white conservative oppression. You're as bad as the non-critical thinking black people or brown people who make grievances that are not correct. Yet, your hypocrisy is one that is greater in my opinion. For when racial minorities do what you claim you dislike, you bitch and you create a stink about things. But when you do it, it is okay. But you do it with more eloquent language and you do it with the outward exterior for the good of America. Yeah, I see how that works. A place where the tyrannical state and the bon-ton liberal media are beating up on you. How are they doing so? By attending to those dirty immigrants, racial minorities, and the undeserving poor interest over yours? Both sides have some dirty tactics. This is for sure. The GOP outwardly is on the ropes these days. At least this is today's episode of the drama that is presented on the world stage. When the GOP is down and out, you know what you gotta do. Resort to the tried and true. Racism, the politics of fear, the promotion of anxiety and hostility. Don't let the facts confuse you now. Newt knows too well the demands of a hungry crowd. Feed them well, and they will follow like a stray dog. Secure that white vote at all cost. Delight in your bizarre refusal to acknowledge the severity of a disappearing middle class, the inability to afford illness or shelter, even with the dual income of most households within America. You know, the primary separators are income and distribution of resources. You know that. It pisses you off to see an ever-growing racial minority. It pisses you off to think about the possibility of your America changing under your eyes, disintegrating, as you like to put it, because of difference in opinion, amongst other things. Oh, and I forgot, the current label that's coming back into style is communist, isn't it? All those liberals are communists. Well, I'm neither a liberal or a Republican, and I see the folly in both of your camps. If you cared for this country, you would never make an excuse for another individual to be a contemptible human being within the GOP. Is it the GOP's desire to show its character by promoting people who personifies hypocrisy, dishonesty, bigotry, power-hungry motives, and egocentrism? I think so. Now, for those GOP and libertarian fanboys that think I am a lefty in disguise, well, fuck you. You know you could not be more incorrect. I know you may think my acknowledgement of your cookie-cutter approach to white grievance is a straw man attack. I expected that you would. The vast amount of you appear to promote a conservative value system, but your actions betray you. Your grotesque desperation shows you are clawing to keep the good old boys network strong. There are plenty of failings to go around, mind you. I've already made reference to that. The Democrats do their share. But you guys have a special way of attending to what you think reality is. Your codependent relationship with the Democrats is sickening. While some of the far left play the victim card, some of the far right succeed at sharpening their claws to become better predators. You put bigotry to good use as you display at some of the right-wing websites images linked to racial derision. The pimp, watermelon, and various long-tailed primates seem to be favorites among you when referring to President Obama. No matter if you like what he has done or not in this country, he is still the president, whether you elected him to be or not. Show some respect for the office. And show some respect and dignity for yourself. The way you guys banter back and forth is so unbecoming of adults. It shows the breakdown within America. This is how you care to depict your non-white president and his family, huh? I used to think there may be a selection bias when observing the GOP primaries. No. It appears to be the bread and butter of an alarming number of rank-and-file white conservatives. I refuse to overlook your driving force that does nothing but promote wedge issues. I remember the highly deluded Herman Cain. Oh yes, You gotta love a black man who does your dirty work for you. Now, didn't he state that Americans who practice Islam are inherently treasonous? He desired Muslims to carry a special identification card, if memory serves me. This poser, known as Mr. Kane, argued that the borders should be a frying pan. Well, he didn't say frying pan, but he did speak of electrocuting those undocumented immigrants at the border with security fences. Well, you gotta love the good old-fashioned values of hate. Let's not forget my buddy, Mr. Ron Paul. Hello to all you Paulites out there. Back on July the 3rd of 2004, if memory serves, he was the only congressman to vote against a bill hailing the 40th anniversary of the 1964 Civil Rights Act. He even urged his colleagues to celebrate the progress made in race relations. And he chased that action that the forced integration dictated by the Civil Rights Act of 1964 increased racial tensions while diminishing individual liberty. Yeah, he loves that word liberty, but I think it's only liberty for rich or white people or those who are not undesirable by society. Yeah. The result was a massive violation of the rights of private property and contract, according to him, which are the bedrocks of free society. So, instead of fixing the part that does not work or suggesting that we do, just condemn it completely. Yeah, Yes, we all know laws do not force another to play fair. I have said many times you cannot legislate morality. We still construct laws that insist that others do play fair, whether they like it or not. When you get down to it, the rights of black Americans are secondary to the freedom of whites to discriminate, according to Ron Paul. Gee, what is that smell? This smells like the flower of former South African apartheid. In function, his innocuous-sounding argument was nothing more than a dangerous course of reasoning. It would provide a legal pass to continue hate and discrimination within the public sphere. But for white people, yep, all because of the framers of the Constitution supposedly intended the Interstate Commerce Clause to create a free trade zone among the states. Though I never recall you suggesting we find a way to restrict whites from discriminating without giving the federal government regulatory power over every business that has any connection with interstate commerce. My focus here is due to the power of the majority and the damage that the majority can cause if they so wish to do so, if not under the rule of law. At least we would have that veneer holding them back. Though some would say, forget the law and do what they wish, but you didn't even want that, did you, Mr. Paul? Something that you completely avoided in acknowledging while you were pontificating what liberty is. Now, all of my older than 40 years of age viewers surely remember the Ku Klux Klan slogan, "Keep America American." It was pretty popular in the Northeast, the Midwest, and the southern part of the United States. Oh, good old boy Mitt Romney, my favorite Mormon. We know he is an honorable chap. How can I say this when he lies frequently? Good point. Anyway, you remember when he said, "I purchased the gun when I was a young man. I've been a hunter pretty much all my life." Later, members of Romney's campaign stated he's been hunting twice. Once when he was 15 and once in 2006 at a Republican fundraiser. So, we can expect that he would never lie about his intentions, right? I'm puzzled why he would borrow from the Klan. Tell me, why would he? So, dropping one letter and creating Keep America America versus Keep America American changes everything, does it now? Do prove yourself even more incompetent by claiming ignorance of the slogan's origins. I can just hear it now. It is better to look stupid to the masses instead of revealing yourself as a vile, racially bigoted bankster, right? Either way, America wins with you, right? Is this your way of defending the American dream? Your slogan has produced some questions within me, Mr. Romney. Maybe you or one of your sidekicks can answer. When you said, keep America, America, this has to beg definition, right? What constitutes an American? Who is American? Who gets to decide? And before you give me the rundown of what I can find in any history book, do understand that will not suffice. From a practical standpoint, I understand the need for borders, by the way. If no borders exist, then no area definition exists for a country. Do you share Mr. Kane's sentiment that there should be electric fences to keep the undesirables out of the country? If the GOP was truly concerned about race relations and producing harmony, why do they not openly denounce the antics of Rush, Hannity, and Beck? These characters, along with Fox News, many conservative bloggers, do the same thing that some of the left are doing. They, however, are doing it better, in my opinion. They directly and on a daily basis stir the fiery politics of white racial bigotry, fear, and resentment. If we believe certain psychologists, then repeated activity generates a payoff. The reward will have to be partly a reinforcement from their voters, which perpetuates the cyclic movement of encouraging party leadership. I'm not going to further address the antics of various Tea Party members. Enough with them. Speaking of enough, I have had enough. One thing you GOP and liberal dramatists alike like to do is attempt to control black people with the words, Martin Luther King Jr. said, Martin Luther King Jr. said. Yes, we know some of these words that he has spoken are highly palatable to you. Surely our oligarchy or neo-feudalistic corpocracy loves this perennial regurgitation for the masses to swallow. You betray all of us while neglecting the message, but you really love those words because you think that that will keep black people in line. It's funny. I had to think about this for over 20 years and kick it around some more. But I realized that the majority of you white people that I have met in my daily life, I'm not going to go to generalizations here. I'm just speaking from my experience and from my observations right now. I have noticed that the majority of you white people think, in reality, that force and violence is okay, as long as racial minorities are not doing it. That's why a lot of you love Martin Luther King Jr.'s words. That's why you just love it. You eat it up. But you like the early Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. You don't like what he was becoming. Many of you older white people who were opposed to him back then are still opposed to him now. He was a scourge to you now, wasn't he? That Negro changed everything now, didn't he? Gotta love it. It is especially easy for hysteria to continue while not peacefully dealing with issues. Best to feed distractions, insults, attacks, and fear than deal with economic or social justice for all, even those you so liberally label undesirable. Yeah, we're on to your game. How sad. You care not for this country. You just want to keep those white grievances a-rolling, and now it's your turn to be the victim, right? Because so many of those racial minorities have been victims so long in the public sphere. Now it's your turn to show your side of things and to complain. After all, things like anti-racism is anti-white, right? Because no black person or no other non-white person could be concerned about destroying a belief system that does none of us any good. It's all about the white grievance hysteria, right? Well, GOP, you've done your job well. Congratulations. Thank you for listening.